cards.
Yeah, that was it. No, the announcement of the cards. All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Daf. I guess it's a pay test. Yeah, pay test. All right. So I know not everyone will be here by the end. So Mitzvah Shem, today we're going to finish the parak. We'll stay for singing and dancing afterwards.
Have you on coffee?
Sure, I'll take it. I was up in the forest. All right. So the Mishnah says, Haitzia get the Eidi Moksuba. She presents a get. She wants to get paid. When the Mishnah about a pay chesam base says pay test. So Haitzia get the Ein Ima Ksuba. So she presents a get. She wants to get paid, but she does not have a ksuba with it. Goyva Ksubasa. She's able to collect her ksuba despite the fact, well, the Gemara will explain why that is, right? And he can't claim that he paid it because normally when he paid it, then we'll soon see that Beis Din actually takes the get, basically, so she can't present the get in another Beis Din. Right. So we'll soon see why there was no ksuba here, right? So she's claiming she lost it, but he can't say because this is a Tanai Beis Din, as Rashi points out. So therefore, she can go ahead and collect the ksuba. Now, ksuba v'einima get. If she presents a ksuba, but she doesn't have a get, she says, I was given a get and I lost it, and I want to go ahead and get paid. Now here's my ksuba. He says, no. The reason why I don't have your ksuba is because I paid it and I lost the receipt. So to a lender that has a loan document, and the guy says, oh, too bad, Shemitah cancels it. He doesn't have the prusal with him. They cannot go ahead. Thank you so much. They cannot go ahead and collect in this case because they don't have the property documentation. And Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, he says no. I mean, it's sakana ve'elech. However, from the times of sakana and afterwards, right, when the other chavim were guys on the mitzvahs, and so they were very careful not to go ahead and leave around the gittin. The woman can go ahead and collect the ksuba with the get because they wouldn't leave those lying around. The Baal Chayv also, they wouldn't leave a prusbal lying around. Also another star regarding mitzvahs. Fine. Zok the Gemara. So Shmamina, it must be Kaisvin Shayfer. Well, it must be that we don't go ahead and we don't write a receipt, right? We don't write a receipt. Why? D ein kaisvin is, let's see, we do write a receipt, and D ein kaisvin shayver, because if we don't write a receipt, in other words, and we say that no, writing a receipt means that she can keep the document, just he has the receipt to show that he paid. So Shana goes ein kaisvin shayver lichash dilma mafkila l'ksuba, so they got you above, right? Then maybe we should be concerned that what's going to happen. She's going to go ahead and take out her ksuba later on, right? Let's say when after he dies, and she'll go ahead and collect it there. So therefore, he must. We must assume in this case that that we read Shavuot. So no, we're talking. The reason in the first case, no, she just presents a get without a ksuba, is because it's in a place where they didn't have a ksuba, right? They didn't write ksubas, right? And they would have the documentation, but they wouldn't leave it around. They would immediately remove it. And therefore, by the fact she was married, she has these certain rights, right? And once they're given the get, that means it should be collected. Then Shmuel says, even in a place, we're referring to a case of where they write a ksuba. So according to Shmuel, should we say that it must be that if we're writing receipts, in this case doesn't have, so therefore, since he doesn't have the receipt, therefore she's able to go ahead and collect it, right? So Amaravan Ladidim officially meaning about Shmuel was explained how Shmuel taught that depends. In a case, but Makom Shein Kaisvin, if there was a place of where they don't write a ksuba, Amar Kasafti, and then he says, no. She had a ksuba, I wrote one, and she already collected that, and that's why she doesn't have one. So therefore, since he's breaking from the norm, alav laviraya, he has to bring proof that he went against the minhag and wrote a ksuba, and that was paid. And b'makam shekaisin, if it was a place where the ksuba, and she says, no, he never wrote a ksuba for me, since she's going against the norm, it's upon her to go ahead and bring a proof.
The get itself is enough of the right.
The get in itself,
In this case.
right? Because in this case, it was normally a makam where they write a ksuba. She doesn't have the ksuba. So where's the ksuba? Must be that you collected it already. So therefore, you have to bring proof that he didn't go ahead and write it. However, Rav was chayzed that what she first says. Why? Whether it was a place where they wrote or they didn't write the ksuba. So the get, the get, the main part is, in other words, if she presents the get, on the get, she can go ahead and collect ikr, right? The 100 or the 200. And ksuba goiva tosefes. And the ksuba, that is any tosefes. Therefore, we're not worried that you're going to collect once with a get and once with a ksuba, because each one are used to collect different things. The get is used by the fact you got divorced, you're owed the 100, 200, and therefore, and that's what the get does. And the ksuba, so the ksuba is presented later on. The ksuba can only be used on the tosefes, and the get can only be used on the 100, 200. Tanan. So we learn in the Mishnah, or in Pei Testament Aleph, ksuba b'einimel get, a ksuba, and there is not a get with it. All right, so that was the second case, right? That was the next case in the Mishnah. There was a ksuba, but there was no get. She says, I lost my get. He says, no. The reason why she doesn't have the get is because I already paid it out, and the Beis Din basically, got rid of it. And therefore, right, the Beis Din got rid of it, but I lost my receipt. So to a loan document, there's no pruzal. They cannot go ahead and collect. They cannot go ahead and collect because they don't. So Bishlam l'shmuel look at the b'makom shein kaisin. I understand it going to Shmuel because we're talking about a place. In other words, why can she not collect? Because we're talking about a place where they don't go ahead and collect. The Omar, in this case, the husband says, Kasafti, Damin lay, I see raya. We tell him to go ahead and bring proof. Therefore, he doesn't bring proof. He has to go ahead and pay. So even according to Rav, so Rav just says that each one does something else, right? So Enochanami can't go ahead and collect the main part, right? Right? Let him go ahead and at least be able to go ahead and collect the Tosefes, because the Tosefes is on the Ksuba, right? So according to him, why can't she not collect? The Mishnah rules in this case, the Ksuba without a get, you can't go ahead and collect. But according to Rav, the Ksuba is the Tosefes, and the get is the Iker. So why does it say she gets nothing? She should have whatever he threw on top of the 100, 200. There are no witnesses. She has the ksuba, and there are no witnesses to the divorce. And he's saying, right, it was paid. So he can just say simply, yeah, you know why she has a ksuba and not a get? Because I never divorced her, and therefore I owe her zero. Right? So therefore I owe her zero. So since he can say the he can say that he went ahead and already paid her. So therefore, since he has that, right? So therefore we believe him.
So there's no very order and all
So
that.
he owes a lot more.
Right, so then, but then she owes him whatever. I mean, it could be also right. I mean, I owe another person, the migo, that his claim is not different because his migos used to pay zero, and had he admitted you pay zero, right? So maybe it could be that's right. That would be a worse claim, right? To say that he's divorced, right? Yeah. Say not divorced. Yeah. All right. But maybe he still gets her, her assets, her paycheck. So Gemara says, wait. The Hamid said the Seba says, now you're talking about not being able to write a star. So let's say Isha a woman can go ahead and collect a ksuba without a get. Right? So over there, but the Ika Eda Gershon Askinan. So over there, we must be talking about a case where there are witnesses to the divorce. The Laka Eda Gershon, because there's no witness to the divorce. right? Who says that that she deserves her ksuba at all just because she has the ksuba? She has no get. Maybe she was never divorced. So Ella Kula Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Rather, it's all Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. And really, it's missing a part. And this is what you say. Hare elu loifro. When the Mishnah says in this case a ksuba without a get or a loan document without a prusbo, they cannot go ahead and collect. When there is no witnesses to the divorce because they have a mikvah. However, if there is witnesses to the divorce, Gavia Tosefes, she can go ahead and collect the Tosefes, any extra amount above the 100, 200, which is on the ksuba. And the ikar, when it comes to the main part, mafka gita Gavia. If she has the get, then she can go ahead and collect the 100, 200. Then she can never collect it, because we might assume that maybe she could use the get at another time or at another place to go ahead and collect the 100, 200. However, times where there was no get, and because it's sakana, even though she did not produce the get, then nevertheless she can still go ahead and collect it. They can go ahead and collect it without the get or the prusbo. And Amrle Rav Kahana Ravasi L'Rav. They said, so it says Rav Kahana Ravasi L'Rav the Didcha, according to you. They might to get good at Ikar, according to you, that says that the get you get the main part, the 100, 200. So Almana Mina Nesuin B'mai Gavia. How can the Almana from a Nesuin, right? With what should she go ahead and collect from? Because there's no get, right? She's an almana. So if you want to say Beidin Isa, if you're talking about maybe there's witnesses, the guy died, right? Maybe before he died, he gave her a divorce document. Now you're awarding her money for the get because he's dead, and she got divorced 2 months earlier. And she has a divorce document, and she'll be able to go ahead and collect from the family a second time, right? Right? So our answer is so we know that he was living with her up until the time he died. Maybe the day before he divorced her and gave her a get. Well, if he did that, the guy is dying, and he did it, then he brought it upon himself, right? He brought it upon himself. We did all we could to know that basically, she was living with this man until he died. Right. So what about an almana from an erusin? All right. We'll soon ask how do we know that they do get it all? It's only erusin. So Beidin Misa. So once again, we have to say that people testified that he died. Right now, she wasn't living with him in the same house, so there can't really be testified that she was still with him. Perhaps she'll go ahead and produce it somewhere else. Rather, it must be that in a place where we don't have an option, kasvina and shayver, we have to go ahead and write a receipt that, yes, if the witnesses testify that he died, right, so therefore they will be paid out, right, and we'll give a receipt in order that she will not be able to present a get at a later time. If you want to say, witnesses to death, right? So too with witnesses to death, you can have witnesses testify in one beis din that the husband died, and then she goes ahead and she goes to another city and brings different witnesses that the guy died because it's well known that he died, and she'll be able to collect again. So how do you can do it multiple times? So it's not dependent on a document, it's dependent on testimony of witnesses. So the guy died and everyone knows he died, so she can have multiple witnesses and do it in multiple places. And rather, it must be in a place where there is no documentation. There is no document to go ahead and tear up in order to prevent collecting a second time. We go ahead and write a receipt. And yes, it might be annoying for the person who paid it to watch it, but this is a way that he can go ahead and protect himself. So Amarle Mar Kashisha Braid Rav Chizda Rav Ashi. Almana men erisin minolon disak suva. So you mentioned as a given that an almana from erisin goes ahead and gets her ksuba. So midalman. How do you know that? These are ksuba. So if you, for this case, nisaman iskar shabei men erisin b'in nesuin gaves hakol. a woman was widowed or divorced, whether it's from the betrothal or from the nisuin, she gets it all. I done with the cost of law. Perhaps he wrote her that even in this case that in other words, you'll get a ksuba. Normally you don't get a ksuba. He says, okay, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to show you my love. I'm going to write you a ksuba, even for Harrison. So if
someone they get divorced from Harrison, she need to get for her. Normally, there's no ksuba involved, so it's no payment.
With what? What was that?
People have Harrison.
Yeah.
Within a year or whatever, they never got married, and they decided to separate ways. He gives her a get.
Right. Right.
No,
so it's machlokas. And we'll soon see. I mean, we've seen at times where there's shitas that there is a ksuba, there's not. So now we're taking it as pashat that there is one. So now it's like, okay, I was like waiting for the punch. Okay, so we're gonna prove it now. So I understand all the Gemara's earlier when they asked, is there a case with a ksuba? So let's see if exactly. So let's see if there is actually a proof in order that we can ask from all the Gemaras. So if he wrote, if he was being nice, he wanted to write her a ksuba, which he didn't have to. So what's the chiddush there? So she can go ahead and collect it. He wants to go ahead and give away his money. Let him give away his money. So right? No, he holds that yes, he wants to go ahead and give her extra. He can give her extra, but he only intended to give it to her if he actually gets married to her. But if he never ended up getting married before, then she didn't earn it. And it says goves hakol, right? Everything, everything in this case, right? And therefore, since it says goves hakol, it's a imar to be shlama kasav la mishum hachi goves hakol. If he wrote it like that, he gave her extra. That's why he said goves hakol. Eli imar to like kasav la, right? But if he didn't write that he wrote her extra on his own, my goves hakol. Why does it mean goves hakol? Manavasayim hu the isla. She only gets 100, 200. What's goves hakol? What's all the extras? Right? For sure, there's no extras only if he marries her. So Ella. So let's learn from Sarah. Meditani Rabbi Chia bar Abin. Ishto arusa. If his wife is an arusa, she's only betrothed him. Lo oinen, and then he dies or she dies. Lo oinen lo mitami lo. He can't. He's not an aninus, right? He can't become tummy. He's a kohen. V'chein he lo oinen lo mitami lo. Mesa, if she dies, Eina Yorsha, he does not go ahead and inherit her. Mesu Gaiva Ksubasa. But if he dies, then she inherits the Ksuba. Perfect. She collects her Ksuba. So says no. Once again, double the Kasala. Perhaps he wrote her extra. So the Chit him in Kasala. What's the Chiddush there? Mesa. And we need to teach another Chiddush, right? To teach the case of that if she died, then he does not go ahead and inherit her, rather her family inherits her. So Amalei Rav Nachman Rav Huna Rav Damar Get Gaiva Iker. According to Rav, we saw earlier that the get is the part that she collects 100, 200 for. Lichash Duma Mafka Gita Bahai Beidina. The Gavia Vahajim Mafka Beidina Krida. Perhaps you use the get in one base hit and use the other base hit and go ahead and collect the Gavia. So the Chitem, if you're going to say, okay, it's Pashit, right? The Karidan length, right? Right, we go ahead and we tear up the star. You collect the get, and therefore we tear it up so you can't go ahead and collect that again, just like any other loan document. So Amra, she's going to say, she's going to say, I need to prove a get. I need a get to show that I've been divorced. Right, this is my proof that I can go ahead and get remarried. If I don't have a get, then I can be able to get remarried. So Gemara answers the Karina the Kasvita. Really, we tear it up, and I guess we sort of give back to the casino. Agavi Gita. We tear it up, we mark it up, and we write on there that she received the get, and then Salam should the Gita puzzle. And the reason why the get is torn is not because the get puzzle, in order that she should not go ahead and get it again. Because if we just tear it up and give her the piece of paper or whatever it is, then they'll say, it was torn up because it wasn't valid. So we write on it that her get was collected upon, and therefore, in other words, we write on it that basically we leave the get in her hand, but we write on it that your get was paid, and therefore she can't present the get in another court, right, to go ahead and collect again, but she could go ahead and present the get in another court to show that she's been divorced. Fine. Now Mishnah says, Shnei Gite, V'Shnei Ksubas, she has two divorce documents from the same husband, Shnei Ksubas, Goiva Shnei Ksubas. She can go ahead and collect twice. One was written for the first marriage, one was written for the second marriage, right? Pretty posh. However, Shnei Ksubas v'Gad, if there were two Ksubas written and there was one get, there's one Ksuba Shnei Gitin, or there was one Ksuba and she was divorced twice, right? So we're going to, so I'll just give the punchline so I can explain each case. right? So in this case, she only collects one. Why? Because the same ksuba was used. He reused the first ksuba after he divorced her, and then he says, "Okay, I'll use the same land for the last time. We'll use it this time. Therefore, she can only go ahead and collect once." Yes, when he takes her back. Oh, ksuba beget umisa, or rather, she has a ksuba, a get, and the guy died. Eina goiva ela ksuba, right? So once again, the case was she married a guy, he got divorced, right? Because she has a get in her hand. Then he must have been remarried again, and she became a widow, or he's dead, right? So therefore, whether or not she got married again doesn't make a difference. It must be that she only gets ksuba achas. She only gets one ksuba achas. Because it must be that the person who divorced his wife, he took her back using the original ksuba, and therefore he just said to her, "Okay, remember the land I gave you last time? That'll be your ksuba again," and she went along with it. Now, Zakt Gemara, so so in the case she has two ksubas, she can go ahead and use whichever ksuba she chooses. So Lema Tiyut to the Rav Nachman says, Rav Nachman Rishmul, Rav Nachman Rishmul, Shtei Shtaros Hayatzim Zachazev, two Shtaros, one comes after one another, right? Bittul Sheni Rishon. The second one nullifies the first one because since it was the same, right? The chayr was the same amount, so it must be why did you write a second one? So it seems to be identical to the first one. It must be that maybe the first one was lost, whatever it is. So therefore, it nullifies the first one. Mm-hmm. So the Gemara answers, "All lavi tomorrow law did we not say over there? Right? That if he adds, if there's any amount, even one palm tree that's extra on the second one, it must be that it's a completely new star." So over here, it was different. It wasn't identical. If it was identical in Achanami, right? Since it wasn't identical, then it was meant to be maisif to add on, and therefore potentially should go ahead and collect either one. And what?
Not both.
Not both. Right. So she can choose whichever one she wants to. So Tanra Baran, Haitzia get uksuba. So if she goes and produces a get uksuba, right? Umisa, and also witnesses to his death. So im get kaidem uksuba. If the get was before the ksuba, right? Sounds like the ksuba came after by the second marriage. Then govish the ksubas. Then she gets two ksubas, so the ksuba, and then all she gets one for the get. Because if she would have got paid the first time, then the get would have been torn up. However, ksuba, because that was the get. If the ksuba was written before the get, and then she got remarried, and then the guy died. Why? Because it must be that when he remarried her, and then she became widowed from that marriage, he went ahead and used the same get. Fine. Nine Mishnah. Mishnah says, "Katan she sees so if a katan whose father married a ksubasa kayemes, her ksuba, the ksuba that was given to his wife, even though he was a katan, stays around Shamanas Kain, kaima because of this. She stayed for this. No, this was the agreement. And similarly, Gershon is gar ishta imo, a guy who marries a woman and he writes her like a ksuba, and then they convert. Right? Ksubasa kayemes, her ksuba is intact. Shamanas Kain kaima because of this. They were depending on this. To be used even after the conversion. And I'm enough on the but only talking about the 100 Tosefes, but any amount above that you have to go ahead and rewrite it. Even the Tosefes was written earlier is added on. It says over there, if they went ahead and they added on. Right, they added on to the ksuba. So no, tell us mashachichu. She can go ahead. They went mafichu. So it sounds like dafka chichu in like chichu lo. Only if they added on later on that she go ahead and collect the additional amount, but not from the original. So if the original was written for more than 100, 200, sounds like you wouldn't go ahead and collect machichu lo. So ema af. So he says, okay, say af mashachichu. Even not only did she collect 100, 200, but even that which was added. He doesn't say this. It's chishu. But tell us masha chishu. Right? They added on after. Let's say the cotton grew up. So then she'd be able to take what that was added on. Like chishu, and it says a different favor. She did not add on the sulo gadem asai and amana mana, but they didn't add on anything. And therefore, the only like 200 amana mana and tiyuf to the Rav Yehuda will be a kasha on Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda, he says no. Masnis not yasa. He made a mistake. Who's ksubasa kayemes? Kayamas was referring to Akula Mills, was referring to everything Kai. However, rather that's not the case. Rather, it must be Ikr Ksuba Kai was only going that that power of the Ksuba, which is Kayamas, is only referring to 100, 200, and not any additional amounts. So Hajjallah, staff.